All right, now let's talk about horizontal spacing. In this lesson, we're going to talk about three properties: letter spacing, word spacing, and width. So back to our style sheet. Here in the rule for the body element, I'm going to set letter spacing to 1 rem. With this property, we can control the space between letters in a text. So let's take a look. Obviously, there's so much space between each letter. So when setting letter spacing, we don't want to use rem values. We want to use pixels. So let's set it to 1 pixel and see what we get. That's better. Now, let's inspect this element. And here in DevTools, look at letter spacing. We can select this. And using the up and down arrows, we can increase or decrease this value. So let's play with it and find out what works best. Sometimes, depending on the font you use, you may find out that the characters in your font are so close, so you may want to increase letter spacing. Other times, you might be using a font where the characters are so far apart, then you can reduce letter spacing by supplying a negative value. This is often helpful for headings. For example, let's inspect this heading. And over here, let's set letter spacing to -1 pixels. Now, look at the impact of this property. So, our heading looks better and more compact when we reduce letter spacing. Now, we also have word spacing for specifying the space between words. So, let's set it to 5 pixels and see what we get. Now, we have 5 pixels between each word. And once again, you want to play with these numbers to come up with what really works. There is no right or wrong here. Now, for the rest of this demo, I'm going to delete these two properties. We're not going to need them anymore. The last thing we're going to talk about in this lesson is the ideal line length. How many characters should we have in each line so the user can easily read our text? Well, research shows that the ideal line length is between 50 to 70 characters. If you have fewer or more characters in each line, reading the text is going to be harder. Imagine if each line had only 5 characters. Our eyes had to constantly move like this. Or if you had lines that were way too long, we had so many characters, so our eyes had to go from the left to the right side of the screen and then come back to the left. It's really hard to read text like that. So the ideal line length should be between 50 to 70 characters. But how can we achieve that? Well, I have a trick for you. Let's define a rule for our paragraph elements. Here we're going to set the width property to 50 ch. Ch is another unit in CSS, which is relative to the width of the 0 character. So when you say 50 ch, that is equivalent to 50 zeros. But why 50? Well, some characters like I or 1 take less space. So if you have 50 zeros, it's roughly equivalent to 60 to 70 characters, okay? So now take a look. Here's the result. Next, we're going to talk about formatting text.